Okay, it looks like we're recording. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Paul Panapinto. I'll be the moderator for today's discussion on operator effectiveness, streamlining operator rounds, and adopting proactive maintenance programs. Today, we will explore the environment at Intermountain Power Services, a huge 1,800 megawatt power generation plant with over 20,000 points being monitored. Our speakers are Jason Jones, maintenance plant scheduler, with expertise in power generation, diagnosing, motor control, and plant maintenance. We also have Brandon Smith, maintenance supervisor of planning and scheduling. He's got 18 years of hands-on experience, expertise in Maximo, workflow, and work execution. We'll also hear from Mohan Amasa, founder and CEO of AssetSense, a Denver-based asset monitoring technology company whose mission is to provide a real-time view into critical assets to make immediate tweaks and boost efficiencies. So let's get started with some introductions. Jason, please tell us about yourself.
Hey, I'm Jason Jones, Intermountain Power. I've been with the company a little over 17 years. Worked up from the bottom, been through operations, maintenance, planning, scheduling. I've worked both the generation and transmission side, and been working with AssetSense here for about 4 years.
Awesome. And Brandon, please share something about yourself.
Yeah, Brandon Smith, Intermountain Power. I've been here just shy of 19 years now. And as Jason, we started at the bottom, sweeping the floors, and worked our way. I worked through the maintenance program, high pressure welder background, and found an opportunity to get into planning and scheduling, and that's what's led me to this point.
Terrific.
Excited to
And
be here.
welcome.
Thank you.
Mohan, please introduce yourself and your vision for AssetSense.
Thank you, everybody. My name is Mohan. I'm an executive at AssetSense. I have 30 plus years of experience in leading enterprise technologies. Speaking about the industry problems that we address, reactive and time-based maintenance programs they cost millions of dollars in terms of lost productivity and excessive maintenance. Our mission is making proactive and predictive maintenance programs easier. This involves mobile, wireless condition monitoring, and AI-powered real-time data analytics. We make enterprise technologies simpler and fun to work with. Thank you. Next.
Awesome. So today's format, I'll be asking questions of the panel. If the audience has any comments or questions, please submit them in the chat window, and we will get to them either live or definitely after the event. If time permits, we may have the opportunity to open up questions, but we have a packed agenda. So I'm looking forward to our session today. I hope you are too. And let's get going with the first question. Brandon and Jason, can you please tell us about Operator Rounds program at your organization?
Yeah, our operation rounds, it's something we've had in place since the mid 80s. Currently, we have two facilities, a generation facility and a transmission facility. The generation side, where we have, it's 100,000 assets on the coal side, and we're monitoring that similar to the way we've always done it, pencil and paper. The transmission side has, they were our test for an electronics round solution, and they're using AssetSense on that. So we have both worlds here. We have the paper and pencil as well as the digital rounds.
Interesting. It'd be fun to explore the differences in your mind.
Yeah.
So what do you feel are the importance of doing operator rounds in production facilities?
So for here at Intermountain, we use the operators as our eyes and ears of the power plant to verify that the readings coming in on our on our PI systems or control systems that that information is accurate. It's a visual inspection of the machine, make sure there's no oil leaks, no stuff that can only be caught by a human eye.
Hmm. And can you maybe share with us, both of you guys, your perspectives in terms of the workflow, who's involved in the process, who uses the information, exactly how it's used?
So right now we've got our frontline team would be our operations personnel that's trained in the equipment and the processes. They know what the equipment should be doing. They know the checks they need to be performing, and they will take that data down and they do it multiple times a shift, and then that is turned in at the end of the shift, and the operations supervisor will review the round sheet, and if there's anything that's out of line, they can remove that equipment from service.
Hmm. Anyone else on the panel have anything to add?
No, I'd just add that the operator rounds, when they're going through the rounds and performing that, that's where a lot of our corrective maintenance work comes from. They're the eyes and ears on the equipment. Not only do they record the round, but they enter a service request for work request. So the rounds are more than just recording the data and moving on.
My favorite expression about their role is they're your first line of defense. So they're trying day and night, 24/7, to proactively identify any equipment issues and address them before they become bigger problems. So they do play a crucial role.
Can you compare and contrast how operator rounds are done in the generation versus the transmission? One is obviously more manual paper collection, but can you compare anything that the audience might want to know about in the digitized version versus the paper manual?
Oh, we chose the transmission facility due to the smaller amount of people, employees that work over there, to digitize them first, and they usually resist change. So we chose them to be able to try to move this program forward. But one major benefit I've seen is we were able to go in and set a range on a data value. So like, let's say for SF6 gas pressure on a circuit breaker, if the alarm point comes in at 70, it's a 3-week bid time. So we can actually adjust that alarm in AssetSense to come in at like 73, and then they'll get a notification saying, hey, this breaker is getting close to needing some maintenance work done on it, which gives us that lead time to bid that equipment properly. So it's a tool in helping the operators know the equipment better, in my opinion.
And it does that electronically. It's not relying on a supervisor or somebody referring to a paper sheet and remembering I need 3 weeks to bid that equipment out.
What you said resonates with me quite well. I come from the OT security space, and we used to say men are from Mars and women are from Venus because IT and OT people often don't see things the same way. You said that these folks in transmission kind of resist new things, new technologies. Do they feel their jobs are better or easier in any way now that they've had the system digitized?
They absolutely love this system. In fact, it rolled out really smooth. There wasn't any, they really took it and just ran with it. And they were able to come to Brandon and myself and make changes and move things around and make it work for them. And that's been the biggest part, is the program is working for them, not the other way around.
Awesome. Can you guys share with us anything about uh, the speed and the ease compared to the way things used to be in terms of filling out paper sheets, doing trending data and analysis. Always hard to do analysis over paper rather than, you know, real-time data feeds, and getting data into the historian. So can you share with us a little bit about how processes have changed?
So with the pencil and paper, a lot of the times the round sheets just get piled up and kind of left, and they get put in a box and put into the warehouse. And if someone had a question, you'd have to go get out those papers and lay them out in order and try to build a trend. With the way that AssetSense operates, it keeps the previous read in there on their read sheet, on their new read sheet, so they can see if there's a major change. And then they can also click that little button and trend it right there and see what it's been doing. And it's helped them catch quite a few failures before they've happened.
Terrific.
And
Paul, I see folks are asking questions in the chat window, and we're tracking those questions. And after our discussion is complete, then we'll, towards the end of the meeting, we'll open up all these questions and we'll go through them.
Awesome. So how'd you go about deciding that you wanted to go digital? What prompted you?
so in 2015, we had a major overhaul of our asset management system. We went from a homegrown system to an IBM web-based program, Maximo. That sparked, that was big, you know. In the cold generation side of things, change has not necessarily been a good thing over time. Once things are established, just once the beast is rolling down the track, stay out of the way, right? That's kind of the way it had been always approached. And so the new asset management system eventually led to some efficiencies and new programs and more programs. And one of the things that came up multiple times was a digital operator rounds. And about circa 2017, we started looking for a product that worked along that line. We tested I don't know how many different products, and some homegrown products, some commercially available products. And one thing I'll add to Jason, one of the reasons we chose the transmission side for AssetSense as well was during this testing of these other processes, or the other programs, we kind of poisoned some of the operators in the coal side of things to, you know, they'd experienced all the heartache of these other programs that didn't function nearly as efficient or as smoothly as AssetSense, and we were increasing round times by, you know, minutes and fractions of hours rather than trying to create efficiencies for these individuals out there. And so we started looking for a better solution in this, and everything, all the feedback we received from the operators is we want something that's as paper-like as possible. And that's one thing that we felt with AssetSense, being able to scroll through the read sheet, not being forced to walk the exact same route every time. It gave a real paper-like feel. After we had it established on the transmission side, and was basic testing on the coal side as well. And one of our read sheets, it was the unit operator bench sheet. I can't remember, a couple hundred points they record several times a day. And I walked up to the control room, gave a unit operator the program, and just said, hey, the next time you do your rounds, your reads, will you time yourself with this program and just give me some feedback? And the very first experience that he was ever exposed to AssetSense versus a paper copy that he had done thousands of times in his career, it was 5 minutes longer on the digital side his first time through. And that was him learning how to function and navigate through the program more than the actual the read sheets. So it was evident early that the digital process was going to be much faster to and create efficiencies. So that's kind of how we found AssetSense. Was we had a major overhaul and we had a need and we had some very specific feedback, and AssetSense checked all the boxes that we were looking for in that situation.
I love what you said. I mean, from my perspective, you don't want to change your processes and your workflow simply to use technology. You want the technology to adapt to your existing processes and workflow. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that helps with the change as well. If we're not changing the actual process or the way these guys are forced to, not forced, but asked to collect the data, then it's just a different method of collecting the data. It's much much less resistance.
Awesome. I am planning to switch gears in a moment, ask questions on a different track. But before I do, anyone have any more comments from what we've been talking about so far? Want to add anything to the conversation? Good. Okay. Mohan, I don't have access to the chat window. Maybe we'll take a question or two, and then I'll resume asking the questions that we had planned.
Okay, sure.
See, I'm changing it up. I didn't tell you we were going to do that.
One of the questions from Jerry, how extensive do you monitor bearing and motor and drive vibration? So that.
Great question.
So we have a different group that monitors motors and vibration and bearings, all of that. And they currently have a different system that they're using. I really couldn't speak to that. Jason, are you aware of what they're using, or?
I actually don't know what their equipment is called, what system they're on.
It's a 3-person crew that handles all the vibration collection, analysis, and reporting.
So there's another question that might be interesting is the data collected during rounds or reads linked to the asset monitoring or asset registry for trending? Basically, question is about how do you do the trending? Is this the data collected from operator rounds making into other data analytics systems?
We do have a few points that are tying into our PI system right now. Some revenue meters and things like that will upload into the PI system as the round sheet has been completed.
Hey, Mohan, maybe if there's one more question, otherwise I'll resume. So
I'll add back to that topic. AssetSense itself has extensive capabilities to do the trending and the type of analysis. On top of that, we do provide native interfacing with other historians, such as the PI and other historians. That way, the data being collected here, that data will generate tags in those historians, and the data will be live, real-time available in those systems as well.
awesome.
One thing to add to that, our transmission side, the frontline employees have very little access to our historian PI. The generation side, the operators are very proficient in PI. So having the ability to trend directly on the device while they're performing rounds has been a huge benefit for the transmission folks. It's something that they would typically, if they needed to go trend something, have to go and find an engineer to pull up the historian and trend a piece of equipment for them. And now it's at their fingertips.
Awesome. So I said I was going to switch gears, and here's the gear. How'd you go about evaluating AssetSense? When did you start? How long did it take you to configure and deploy? Anything you can share about the process? I'm sure the audience will be very interested in hearing.
I'll start and probably hand over to Jason here in a second, but we like I said earlier, I probably jumped ahead, but we evaluated several different products, and we relied heavily. We learned a lot of valuable lessons when we implemented the new asset management, the Maximo program. We there was a lot of resistance to that change back in 15. In fact, the reason I was even had an opportunity to move into the planning and scheduling group was the older gentleman that I was replacing retired because he said he was too old to Maximo. He had a T-shirt made and everything, so it was beneficial for me. But so we learned some lessons with that, and we relied heavily on feedback from the frontline employees. It was we would get whatever program we were evaluating on a mobile device, get it in the hands of the operators, and get the initial feedback and work through it that way. And you know, there were some of the products that I mean, even when we were asked, can we just walk it in reverse order? Sorry, can't be done. And so it was evident early that AssetSense was the solution for us.
Awesome. Jason, do you have any comments about the process? Would you go about testing? How long did it take to configure and deploy?
So Brandon brought me in, it was probably late 2020, and said that we were going to roll it out on the transmission side. I was a maintenance planner scheduler at the transmission facility at the time, and we worked through, we spent a couple hours each day building out the round sheets in the format to be similar to what they were used to. And then AssetSense actually built those first original round sheets for us. And once we got those back, we pulled the operators in for 1 or 2 very quick trainings. And then I went out with several of them, and we would just go around and do a set of reads. And they just took to it. But it really doesn't take much training at all. It's very intuitive. But as of now, we've got over 100 read sheets. We've got over 6,000 points of data entry in just a little under 4 years.
That's fantastic. I love hearing it. So many times technologies and tools are intimidating. It sounds like this is intuitive, and I'm really happy to hear you share your experience. This question is from Mohan. Mohan, how did AssetSense help Intermountain meet and exceed their requirements and desired outcomes? What role did you and the folks in your company play?
We take lead role in working with the customers, reviewing the data sheets, and we prepared them in our proprietary data sheet format, like Excel spreadsheet. And then we'll get that reviewed with the customer, and if everything is looking good, then our team will go and set up the application, various components of the assets and the templates and the routes and all the thresholds and things like that. We'll set it up, and also credentials, user credentials, and we hand it over to the customer, and they download the applications and then start reporting. Initially, they will take a couple of weeks or so to get completely used to the application. They would have some questions. How do you do this? How do you do that? And we'll set up various online remote sessions. We'll explain the product and how they can change it. It's kind of a hands-on coaching how the product works, and once they get comfortable, so they start using it, and they have additional training. They come to us, and we continuously provide as and when they need any support. We're always there 24/7. There's some customers, including Intermountain, they love the product so much, and also they want to learn more about how we do the various things. And because we have a lot of depth of the product, and we are always there to help the customer to configure the system and how to use it. One thing we take a lot of pride is once the system is set up and it works like solid, like we often compared to a Porsche, a sports car. It's highly reliable and high performance. These are kind of things we take a lot of pride, and customers don't have to call us for any technical issues because it works. If they need any technical issue, we're always there through email or phone call, 24/7. So it's a partnership, and we work closely with the customer, making sure that the system is set up properly. It meets their expectations. They can start using it. If they have any concerns, questions, we're always there to make it work for them. We're pretty much become their team to make it work until they're happy and they're successfully using the system. We don't sleep.
Sounds like a nice high touch customer experience so that people can rely upon your expertise to help get this thing deployed. Is that normal? Do you do that for all customers?
Oh, that's correct. Initially we started, I thought we will just give the application, they will let them figure out. There's a learning curve. So to avoid any surprises for them, also the best practice in how to configure the system. And we take the active role in help configuring the system and providing a sufficient enough training for them to operate or later make any changes. Yeah, so we want the experience to be of the top of the line. So that's why we take active role. Unlike any other IT organizations, we don't do hourly consulting for a small fixed fee. We take it up. Whatever the work is to be done, we'll get it done until you are happy, we're not happy.
Terrific. And your primary revenue source is subscription for the service of the software. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Awesome. So on the last question in this segment, I'd like to hear from Jason and Brandon. Can you please share your comments on the level of support, the responsiveness? Did you have any problems that were really tough to solve? Anything that you want to share about that?
Our experience with working with AssetSense has been exactly what Mohan conveyed there. 24/7. If we had an issue on nights, weekends, whenever, we could send him an email, and he would address the situation as soon as possible. And I understand. I'm kind of like an IT guy's nightmare because I live by the real men test in production. So, and I broke a few things early that I'm sure Mohan wanted to just fly out and wring my neck, but he worked through it and made some repairs. Like I said, it was nights and weekends type situations, and they've been very, very responsive. And so far, we haven't broken anything they haven't been able to fix. So.
Awesome.
The only thing I can add to that is it's never been AssetSense that's been the problem. It's been either me or Brandon.
Yeah, that is 100%.
Awesome, guys. So before I switch gears again, Mohan, do you have access to the chat window? Is there any other questions we want to get for the audience before I get to the rest of my questions?
Let me ask you a question. Is there instrumentation on equipment? Can the reads from the digital platform overlay with the data collected from instrumentation? Excellent question. I can answer that. Yes, we do have that capability, such as the data coming from control systems or historian. So we can feed that data into our data platform. That points or observations can be set in part of the rounds template or observations. So that way it's a read-only data trend so the operators can see, even when they're in the plant, even when there is no connectivity, just those capabilities are there. I don't know if Intermountain has utilized that functionality, but it's there. It's with the connector application that we have to Pi and other historians. So it is a bidirectional. That means it can get the data from existing Pi systems or control systems, as well as it can take the data from our rounds application database and push it into those historians as well. So once the data is coming from the control systems through historian or directly into our data platform, those points or tags are available for the operators as well. Anybody else like to add anything?
Okay, Mohan, is there another question? Otherwise, I'll go on. So let me know, please.
Do digital operator rounds feed into the performance management tool, trigger alerts or notifications?
We do. We have them configured now to send out email notifications when a piece of equipment falls out of spec. First off, it'll show up red on their round sheet. And then as soon as they submit that round sheet, it sends out an email notification. So during my time as the planner scheduler at the converter station, the transmission facility, those emails would be in my inbox in the morning. I would be able to see if it was a priority, and if we needed to get on that way we could get the guys moving on that instead of having to go pull them off later and have them restart the job. So it was a very, very nice tool to be able to get those email notifications.
Awesome. There's one more question. Paul, shall raise that?
Yeah, sure.
How do you track completion of rounds and routines? Some being done daily or weekly or monthly. How do you track which activities have been complete with the digital platform?
So all the round sheets, once they're complete, they drop into the condition history bucket where you can go in and review them. And we have all sorts of rounds. We have rounds that are daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and every 3 years. So there's all different types of data in there. And you're able to filter and search by whichever route or time frame or anything you need, you can search for.
Awesome. Back to you, Paul.
Sure. So I'm a big fan, and I'm going to date myself, of the David Letterman top 10. I want to ask you guys for top 10, but maybe from each of your perspective, your top 3, what are the process improvement benefits you see having gone digital?
I've noticed we take less time pulling people off from jobs to retool to go do another job because we didn't know about it until the time had already passed. Being able to bid that equipment so we don't have to have a rush to try and get that equipment out has been nice. And the ability to these guys to go out on their tablets, it's a lot easier for them than carrying around a pencil and paper. Most of them do it from their cell phones now, so they can throw it in their pocket when they're going from place to place. It's just been a great benefit for them.
I was going to add the multiple formats or platforms that can be utilized. You know, we provided iPads for most of the individuals. You know, and we have two distinct age groups at our facility: those that are getting ready to retire, and a younger group of people that you know, and there is a technology gap or a willingness to use your own devices in that group. And the multiple platforms, having the younger employees willing to put it on their cell phone has been, to me, it's a huge benefit, because it's less equipment that is drug around and potentially damaged, and it's their own, and they take care of it, and there's never any problems that way. And the other one, my number one, is this product is the only product I've seen that functions like a piece of paper that you can just scroll up and down and flip the page, if you will, and it's just extremely easy to use once everything is established and the rounds are created. And once it's time for the end user to take off, it is extremely simple to use.
Those human factors are so important. Thank you for that comment. What about plant and equipment uptime? Have you had any metrics around that?
I haven't been tracking that with AssetSense. Jason, do you have any experience with that?
I wouldn't be able to give you a number. I do know it's reduced downtime by catching certain issues before they become a real big problem. But I don't have real numbers for you.
Okay, it's good to hear that, at least empirically, you feel you're improving in that area. I know that that is top of mind for many companies. So I only have a, go ahead, Mon.
There's a one interesting question that came up. Let me read that. Are thresholds for the readings taken, such as the showing red on the digital round sheet and sending out notifications, managed in AssetSense or in some other platform? Excellent question, Nick.
Yeah, that's all managed in AssetSense based on your parameters that you select. And as Jason explained earlier, we've gone in and been able to quickly adjust. Just because an alarm comes in at a certain point doesn't mean that's the point something needs to be taken care of. So with the SF6 gas, perfect example, that's something that we were able to, in a matter of seconds, go in and adjust the parameters and the way it functions for the individual. And the nice thing is when they do record something that is out of spec, it can be saved. Some of the other programs that we tested, if you have a reading that's out of spec, you were done until that was fixed. So that's been an improvement.
Excellent, thank you. Back to you, Paul.
So what advice do you guys have for the folks on this call who may be exploring digitizing operator rounds?
The advice of this is the ease of use, as Brandon has said a few times about how it just reads just like a piece of paper, top to bottom. The ability to jump around so you don't have to be on a fixed next. You can go anywhere you want. The ease of using it on your cell phone or on the computer. It's just a really user-friendly program to use. Another example I can give you is there's been times when you go out to check on something and someone will say, hey, what's going on with this? And you can just pull your phone out of your pocket and check it instead of having to go back to the computer or go back and get your tablet. You can just do it right there.
Awesome.
Yeah, my advice would be if you're considering a digital round solution, do it now. Don't wait. There is some real, there can be some real resistance. My advice as well through multiple implementations is pick a user group. Not everyone needs to be involved, a handful. Pick somebody that's very tech savvy. Pick somebody that's the resident tinfoil hat wearer in the group. You know, pick everyone, and you'll come up with you'll improve everything quickly. So don't wait. That's my advice.
And don't try to roll it all out at once. Roll out 1 or 2 read sheets, let them get used to it, and then just expand from there. The pushback that Brandon was talking about from the coal unit people, they are actually one of the biggest users and positive talkers of this program now. That they've moved over to our gas facility, and we've got them using AssetSense at the gas facility, and now he loves it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yep. That's great. It'll spread and spread, and people, they'll find their jobs easier and better to be able to accomplish it. I know that AssetSense and, isn't a huge OpEx or ticket, but there has got to be some sort of budget approval process. Do you have any advice on what it took to get the project funded and approved?
I should have looked at those numbers. It's been too long to recall the exact. It was something we were able to easily make happen in a single budget year on our end. It was something that it's a relatively cost-effective program, and it was I handled the maintenance budget, and it wasn't a painful situation. Sometimes those budget issues can be very painful, and this one was very smooth, and just worked out great.
Awesome. Thank you.
So that's great. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and experiences here. Mohan, I don't know if you have the ability or want to be able to open this up to live questions. People can come off mute and get on audio if that's an option. Otherwise, we will respond to everyone's questions, in a follow-up who have submitted them if we didn't get to them. But do you have the ability to open this up to questions from the audience live?
So they've been asking questions, Paul. So
Yeah, but can they speak? Is what was my question.
Not sure.
Okay. Well, this then will conclude our webinar. We will send a link to the recording and respond to any question that wasn't yet addressed. We thank you for your participation. We hope that you found this session informative, and please look for additional webinars that will be posted on the AssetSense website soon. And more importantly, reach out to us. We will schedule a private demonstration and a consultation to help you evaluate the role of digitized operations and operator rounds in your organization.
We have a few more questions. We can address them, Paul.
Oh, okay. I don't have access to that window. Please.
There were some questions from Nick, I believe. Let's see, the values collected by operator rounds, for example, being a bearing asset in your asset registry and quickly navigating to bearing temperatures and recorded during operator rounds. So the questions are the work management and the data reported. How do you navigate? AssetSense, I can. It's similar, pretty technical, so I can answer that question. AssetSense has the capabilities wherein we have the asset registry. You can look at the history. You can look at all the points, and as well as when your operators are going through the reporting, they can look at the history of that asset, as well as they can also look at any individual point and look at the trends. And so all of that are in a single application. You can achieve everything what an operator needs, including if they see an issue that needs to trigger a work order. So they can also, we have what's called operator work order management integration. They can flag, yeah, this issue is serious and needs to be trigger a work order. As a sense system can trigger a work order. And then once you tie up into external work order management systems such as Maximo, we can make those work orders directly go in there, or we have our own asset management, work order management functionality. You could use that as well. So we provide both options to the customers, as well as extensive trending capabilities and notification capabilities. You can set up any type of notifications based on the thresholds and many other conditions. There was a question about GPS approach machine to bring you to the correct page. The question is, how do you navigate to a specific section in a route? That's what it is. We don't necessarily use the GPS in our system, but we have the built route that comprises assets and the points. So it gives you, as Brandon and Jason explained, you can navigate through the route because it's scroll, so you can up and down. There's also jump to button feature. You can pick which specific location or asset you want to jump to. You can go there. The routes themselves are pretty rich in terms of how we build navigations, and it makes it very easy to navigate. as opposed to purely relying on either GPS or barcode scanning. So we have those capabilities, as well as we do have some organizations who do need to enforce for accountability, so they're walking to those specific locations. So they do ask for barcode capabilities, and we do support barcode capabilities where you can sprinkle the barcodes in the route, so we can bring up those scan the barcode that validates that person has physically walked to that location. Some people used to ask that functionality a lot, but not many people need them, because once you deploy AssetSense application, so the operators themselves, they love it and they embrace it and they're ready to use it. So the data quality as well as the accountability issues are all gone. So it's a win-win for the operators as well as to the management. Let me see if there are any other questions. Try completions and the, I think most of them were addressed. The instrumentation equipment can read from the.
Mohan, someone asked, how does the process start if you're interested in a consultation or a demo of the product?
Yeah, that would be great. Yes, believe you guys have our contacts, emails, or you can also visit our website, AssetSense.com. Request for live demos. We do like WebEx or team-based live demos. So we can go into any depth of the product. We'll have live access to the product, and we'll go through that. There's one of the questions I meant to explain is when people are looking for solutions and trying to deploy, always go for a smaller scale pilot rather than trying to deploy everything. It could get out of control. You don't have like an SAP and Oracle, this kind of ERP deployments. You were spending months or years and lots of money, and that you don't know what will be the outcome. Whereas we recommend to our customers to start with a smaller pilot, like a few hundred points or for a unit. You test it out, and so that everybody's on board, the system works, and the support is there. All those things are taken care, and then roll out to the rest of the site.
Okay, well, I want to give a very special thanks to Brandon Smith and Jason Jones for being our speakers today, sharing your experiences at Intermountain Power. Mohan Amasa, CEO of AssetSense. I hope everyone got a lot of value out of it today. I certainly enjoyed it and learned. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all
Thank you all.
Thank you.
And thank you, Brenton and Jason and Paul and Brian. Thank you all for your time. We had a great time, and we're looking forward to continuing the more webinars. Some could be on AI, and some could be on our wireless condition monitoring, and more on customers' experiences as well as like this. Thank you, gentlemen, for everybody's time, and have a nice afternoon. I'm closing the meeting.